as he said, my name is Chris Lee. I am a clinical hypnotherapist and I specialize in past life regression therapy. That's why I have a very big business card to fit it all in there. This is really nice being here, seeing people I know, Tyson. In fact, Tyson, I did his show twice, and in spite of that, he still invited me here. Okay. Also Corey from 100 Mile House, and did a lot of communication with Jackie. Where's she hiding? Oh, there she is, right there. You listened, okay. So, what it's all about, first of all, is that it's a little bit of a different crowd because you guys are pretty well on the same page as what I'll be talking to, because I do get crowds where it's sort of half and half. What I want to start off with, just to confirm everything here, is that past lives. Show of hands, how many people here believe in past lives? Okay. How many people aren't sure? Oh, we do have, it's okay. As long as you have an open mind, that's all I ask. Occasionally I do ask when it's a really big crowd, is anybody here that doesn't believe in past lives? And I had an interesting situation in Winnipeg. The girl, a lady in the middle, slowly put her hand up. And everybody starts staring at her. And then she said, but I have a good excuse. She said, my daughter believes in past lives and she needed a ride here tonight. So we let her stay. Also, I do give out virtual cookies for those who laugh at the right times. And just for the vegans, they're not animal cookies, they're just regular cookies. Okay. Well, just a general thing, past lives, because there are people that don't believe in it. What I like to point out to people is that I have a modality. It's a past life modality, which you've heard of, but mine's a little different. First of all, I like to point out is that if you're not sure about past lives, you think you made up everything, I don't care. Mine is a modality, if you think you made it up, but when your ache, pain, fear, phobia, debilitating emotions, which I cover, disappear, does it really matter if you believe in it or not? It's a modality. Why it works, people ask me that, or does this work, or does that work, or why does this happen? My usual answer is, I don't know. But I've been doing this for 23 years, and you know the adage, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. So that's basically what I do. Now the next thing, what I do is, this is a 2-hour talk, but I'm cutting it down to 1.5, so I'll just leave out every third word. Okay, what happened? So what it is, I do this around, this talk, it's been over 200 times now in 6 countries. This is not a workshop. Nobody's going to go into hypnosis, nobody's going to see a past life. I do that for a reason, is because I know it's hard to believe, there's a fear of hypnosis out there. You ever heard of that? People that watch television, and now here's a little bit of a profound statement. I'm not sure if you'll catch on, but television is not the most accurate thing out there. It's called entertainment. So things get embellished and moved around. I don't quite have 6 books. I will be writing 6. There's 6 on the bookmark, but I got tired of making a new bookmark for each book, and I knew what the covers were for the next 3, so they're all on there, but they're coming out. The 4th one will be out this summer. What they are also is just case histories. They're not a how-to or that type of thing. It's case histories. Now, back to the hypnosis part. I find that people have a fear of hypnosis, so when I used to do workshops, people wouldn't show up because what if I bark like a dog, which is silly because it's too noisy. I do rabbits because they're quieter. Just kidding, I don't do any of that. Or play musical instruments that aren't there. It doesn't happen. What I do is totally different. Now, I want to explain hypnosis. First of all, show of hands, how many people here have ever been hypnotized? Never. Have been hypnotized? Yes. How many people have never been hypnotized? A lot of people are fibbing. Okay. It's mainly because not everybody knows exactly what hypnosis is. They think it's that stage performance where you act silly, lose control, or you go to a hypnotherapist, that type of thing. We are in hypnosis 5 to 20 times per day. Just didn't know exactly what it is. All hypnosis is deep relaxation. Now, I like to give some good examples. I use a bit of logic. Also, I hope you don't mind if you use logic. What it is, first of all, does anybody remember high school? Does anybody ever have a boring subject and you daydreamed? Yes. That's hypnosis. Deep relaxation. But were you totally out of it? Were you not aware that the teacher might catch you, so you keep an eye on it? No loss of control. Another example of hypnosis, has anybody ever watched television or a movie or read a book so intently you don't hear people talking to you? You're in hypnosis. Single focus concentration. It's also how we learn things. How could you memorize an address or something if 20 people are talking to you? It's a lot easier if you blank it out and just go over it a few times. So we use hypnosis. And the biggest thing to explain about being in hypnosis that you, I'm sure, have done. Has anybody here slept in the last 24 hours? Sleep is hypnosis. So now the question again, how many people have ever been hypnotized? It's unanimous because you sleep. It's just deep relaxation. The thing that does get people a little bit worried about hypnosis is they have seen stage performances. That's why I like to explain to people, don't call yourself a hypnotist unless you're doing stage shows. I did meet one the other day, she said, I'm a hypnotist. She said she was a hypnotist. I said, do you stand on stage and do stuff? No, I help people. You're a hypnotherapist. You're a therapist when you help people using hypnosis, which is deep relaxation. But that little thing about stage performances. Anybody here ever seen a stage performance? Anybody here ever been up on the stage? Good. This way you can confirm what I'm going to tell you. When you're on the stage, when people are up on stage in a performance, they are 100% aware of what they're doing. First of all, there's a law against dragging people on stage, kidnapping them, forcing them to go on stage. It's called voluntary. Yes. And he'll have them come up. He generally likes to get a good crowd, like at least 20 people on the stage. People will come up, then he'll still ask you if you want to stay, and some people come off the stage. Anybody here actually stayed on the stage for a while? Good. So you know what I'm talking about. Yes, you're totally aware. What happens is that the hypnotist likes to use a type of person called a somnambulistic person. It took me a year to pronounce that one. What it is, about 10% of the world are already in hypnosis anyways. They like having fun. They really don't care an awful lot, but you don't lose your morals. But what happens is he likes them to come up, and because they are easy to get even more regressed. Basically, people on stage are acting the age of 7 or 8 or younger. How hard is it for somebody 7 or 8 or younger to act like silly or play musical instruments that aren't there? Not very difficult, is it? So that's what he wants. It's called entertainment, but they know what they're doing. But to show you a bit about control, he likes to give the illusion, the hypnotist, that they're under his control. Well, has anybody ever noticed during a production that slowly they do send a few people off? Who's noticed that? Yeah. Now, didn't you wonder why he'd send them off if they're under his control? Because they're not under his control. And kids get bored. So if you're bored and not getting up and down, it doesn't look good for his performance, so he politely says, get off the stage, thank you for coming. So yes, no loss of control. I still get people that will introduce me to their friends and say, he's a hypnotist or hypnotherapist. And I go, thank you. And their friend, I find this happens so many times, will think they've created a new joke. They quickly look away. And I like to bug them further. Why'd you do that? Well, you might hypnotize me and make me do something I don't want to do. And I go, really? Well, if I could do that, isn't there more money in Las Vegas? Why don't I go down there and hypnotize the dealer that I've got a winning hand every time? Or newspaper headline, 6 more banks robbed by hypnotist. Well, they made me give them the money. It does not happen. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. Totally self. I can't hypnotize you. Nobody can. I help. When I do a session with my clients, I ask them if I may work with you. You say yes or no. That's how it works. If you say no, I can't hypnotize. Can I tell you and say relax? Especially in that tone. you're not going to relax. But if you do in a session want to slow down, that's how we work on this. So, everybody's been hypnotized. Can I explain a little bit about how I got to where I am? Maybe mind. Too bad I'm going to say it anyways. Okay. I took my training about 23 years ago in Vancouver, and we had 24 people in the class. Now, regular hypnotherapy, is anybody a hypnotherapist here? I think there was a couple. No? This is one of my graduates. She actually lives in RedDeer. She's helping me. This is Candace. Say hi, Candace.
Hi.
Hi, Candace. So, where was I? Chris Lee, no, I'm past that. Okay. So what happened was that I was teamed up. We all had partners. So I was teamed up with a medical doctor. He was tired of giving pills for the placebo effect, but that seems to be an effect that does work. So what happened is that it's just regular hypnotherapy, take people, regress them back. You can still call it past life. If you go earlier in your life, it's still in your past, isn't it? So it can be called that way. But what happened is that taking you back to see why you hated your mother, what's that got to do with your fear of heights? Or that type of thing, unless she was holding you over a cliff or something. What happened was that I wasn't sure about past life. Most of my talks I've done, I rarely have more male than female. Women are a little bit more clever in this direction. It's called, women listen to their intuition. Women have women's intuition, right, ladies? Now, us men, we don't have women's intuition. We have gut feeling. I read an article a few years ago, all the world's richest men have become rich by gut feeling, no logic whatsoever. You ever had a situation where you go, darn, I wish I listened to my gut feeling, intuition? Women listen more, so that's why there's usually more women there at the top. But that's why I quickly remind people, especially the male, you can think you made it up, I don't care. But men aren't exempt from aches, pains, fears, and phobias, that type of thing, are we? So what I do is a modality that takes care of that. So when I took my training, during the course, somebody must have asked the head instructor about past life. And he said, does anybody here want to see a demonstration of past life? So 24 hands went up. He said, who wants to volunteer? 24 hands came down. It wasn't like anybody was afraid, just we wanted to watch it. So we bantered back and forth, who's going to go up? You go, you go, you go. Finally, you go went up. Whoa. What happened? So one of the girls went up, and the instructor regressed her back to the 1930s. And also, I wasn't sure, but I had my notebook out, and I'm going ready to go. In the 1930s, there's a boy about the age of 10 in the States playing on train tracks. Anybody ever play on train tracks? Yes. Now, okay. They had electric switches even back then, and unfortunately, the switch moved, caught the boy's foot, and a train came along. Yes, but okay, he came back again, another life. He's okay. So I went, wow. Made notes because I do that. Wow, made some notes. Then he regressed her back to 1942 in England, in London, as a female, because we have been both male and female in different lives, not at the same time, of course. And it was during a bombing raid. What was going on in 1942? Anybody know? World War II. Anybody that was there in this life or another life? And I went, wow, made some more notes. What really got me is the next day she came into class and she stood up and said, hey guys, I've always wondered why I hated trains and thunder. And I went, whoa. I can even feel it a bit from that day. But the thing that really got me into using past life regression is she said, don't bother me anymore. All her life, these have been bothering her like that, it's gone. That's how I work. And I'll explain how that works. So I finished my course and got my designation as a hypnotherapist. I went and started a practice in Chilliwack. Anybody heard of Chilliwack? Not the band, the city. Okay, somebody had to live there. And I did my practice. This is always interesting, how they always call it a practice. Do you trust people that are still practicing? Okay. Anyhow, they call it a practice. And I did the stereotyping, which would be with hypnotherapy, your smoking, your weight, and confidence. Now, speaking of learning, really, we should be learning stuff all the time. I think we are, especially in this type of crowd. Good example, though, I learned something interesting a couple of weeks ago. What would you do if your clothes were on fire? That's what a lot of people say, drop and roll. But if my clothes were on fire, I wouldn't put them on. 5-year-old girl, Art Linkletter, remember that show? Kids say the darndest things. He used to ask kids, what did your parents tell you not to talk about? That was his whole show. It was a lot of fun. Now, I found that working with current life hypnotherapy, that my effectiveness was only roughly about 25%. Now, is that good? Go at this, so I know you're there. I'll give you a bit of exercise. Not very good. So I decided, why don't I check out further on this past life stuff? I use technical terms, stuff. It's easy to remember. So I started reading some books. There's some good authors out there. Michael Newton, Life Between Lives. Anybody read? He's got a couple. Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Brian Weiss, who used to be a psychiatrist but got over it. Richard Dick Sutphin. Anybody heard of him? He's not quite his own. Yeah. He's an American. He's had a lot of books out. He actually discovered the energy in Sedona, Arizona. Anybody been there? More than 3 times? Yeah. Isn't it beautiful? Just even the scenery, but you could feel the energy down there. So I started reading and practicing with my, use a polite term, volunteers, not guinea pigs, volunteers. And I would read this and I'd try it with one of my volunteers and go, ooh, that worked. Try this, another, it worked. It was just fantastic, it was working. So I decided that I should maybe incorporate this into my practice using past life. And I did. And I found, because I'm very mathematical and I do keep a lot of stats, that my effectiveness became about 95%. Is that good with this? Yeah. Good. But, everybody's got a but. There's a downside to being 95% effective. Who can figure out what it is? Oh God, give her a cookie. Everybody goes 5% and all this stuff. Yes, you don't get a lot of repeat. Because what I do, you do it once, I get rid of it. I eliminate, not come back for the next 2 years, once a week, and try and help you out and end up that I get a new Mercedes out of it, but you don't get any help. Mine is, boom, done. It didn't take me long to wipe out Chilliwack. Okay. So I decided that the next year, I went over to England for a while. When my brother had gone over, so I went over to visit. And I started doing workshops. First time experimenting with workshops. And I had a good agent who later became my wife, but she's not here today. And what happened is that I found that I'd get 10 or 12 people because a lot of that fear of hypnosis was still there. Because in the talk, in my workshop, I would slow everybody down just by closing your eyes and picturing something nice or an elevator. And then had to be more generic. I would say, like, go to a happy life. Remember if you're male or female, and just a couple generic questions. Because I cannot do one-on-one with that because you don't disappear. You're there all the time. When you're daydreaming, you're there. So if I start asking you what you're seeing, everybody else would hear, and you might be more interesting than the rest of them, so they'll stop doing it. That type of thing. So that was not really a great way of doing it. I did find there's one good thing, one interesting thing that does happen when you do a group type of thing. We would chat in between, after each one to have everybody a little bit more aware and talk about what they saw, that type of thing. I found that often 2 or 3 people were in the same past life and didn't know each other. That's another thing that threw me in there. I'll go a little aside here to explain a bit about that. Has anybody here got a soulmate? Who's got a soulmate? You don't. Get over it. You have a soul group. We travel with a soul group. 1 or 2 in the group might be more often, you're, sweetie and that kind of stuff. But you ever notice that soulmates seem to come and go too? So if they were supposed to be there all the time, no. Soul group. What happens is the whole premise of what I've found this is all about is we're supposed to learn lessons. Why? I don't know, but it seems to work. Apparently we're supposed to be more mature so we don't work our way up, because in the human body we can experience aches and pains. Normally we're energy which you can't feel. So what happened is that when one of your soul group pops in, you won't know why they're there. We know what the lesson's supposed to be when we're in the energy form. The instant we're in the human form, we totally forget, because just seems to be the way the human body is designed. But also, how would you learn if you got the script in front of you? You're not supposed to know. Free will. We're supposed to use free will, which allows us to screw it up, which we seem pretty good at doing. So what happened is that when you do meet one of your soul group, their energy is pretty strong, but it's generally like, you ever meet 10 new people and it's like, that person seems like I've known them all my life. That person, I can't stand them, never met them before, can't stand them. They'll both be your soul groups. So you can sort of sense their energy, but you don't know what they're there for, because if you did know that they're normally nice people, but they're pretending they're nasty, you'd say, come back tomorrow, I'm too busy today. Or like a movie, there's always a bad guy. See, life isn't a chick flick. There's always going to be a bad guy. So we do take turns being the bad guy so we can mature from it. But when they're doing a movie, they all go for beer afterwards. But in life, that doesn't happen. So I decided that really one-on-one is the best way. So what I do, and I'm like today, I do a talk to explain what it's about and how it works, or how I work. Here's the part where now I'm going to draw a picture on my drawing board here of the human mind. Now, we're not talking about the brain. When I say what's in the mind, or how many parts in the mind, they go left brain, right brain. Hello, we're talking about the mind. Think of the brain as the car and the mind as your driver. Also, I found out through checking on a few things and just from experience, the human body really is not more clever than an ape. Think of it as you plug in a computer. That's why your siblings, I got siblings, will all have different experiences, different likes, dislikes, even though we had the same parents. I think I got one of the last families with the same parents. But anyhow, we get all from different experiences, different lessons. So, and we do pick who we come in to see. So the human mind, now this is not going to be complicated, but I like to show just a quick picture here because we learn better with visual and auditory. So now I'm just going to draw a simple picture of the human mind. I need a volunteer. Jackie, just stay there. No, you don't have to get up. No, I can do it from here. I'm quick. Now, close your eyes. Close your eyes. I'm just going to draw a picture of Jackie's mind. Close your eyes. Okay. Okay. You can open your eyes. This is why I didn't do well at art school, too. Okay. I do find it's good to leave a little bit open there so that people can have an open mind. I picked these up from people telling me these at talks. It's plagiarization, whatever. This is the human mind. I had one guy say his was bigger than that, but whatever. The human mind is made up of two parts, as I mentioned earlier, but let's see how quick you guys are. What are the two parts? Anybody know?
Conscious, subconscious.
Anybody but Jackie. Give other people a chance to get cookies. Okay. No, she's right. Conscious and subconscious. For some people, it's the unconscious, but anyway. But anybody heard of that, subconscious and conscious? Well, that's right. And I'm just going to put it as con and sub because of two reasons. It's easier to write and don't have much room. One is bigger than the other. You don't get cookies by getting ahead of me. Okay. Let everybody else try. One is bigger than the other. Let's go first. I'll show hands. Who thinks the conscious is the biggest part? I always get people to follow my hand. Not always. Who thinks the subconscious is bigger? Obviously the rest. It is the subconscious bigger. Okay. Now, when I took my training 23 years ago, it was before internet. Anybody remember that? Wasn't it simple? We had books. I have books. I write books. Okay. Where are my three books? Oh, they're up here. So now, when I was told that roughly the percentage of this to this was such and such. I'll tell you in a moment. Now, later on when I got the internet, I thought I'd check it up a bit, and sure enough, almost most theory people come up with similar amounts or similar percentages. But I decided to stick to the one by some unknown guy, Albert Einstein. Anybody heard of him? Okay. Basically, the conscious is only 5% of your mind. Who's quick here? Who's the math? Who's got a calculator? What's the balance? 95, yes. I think we'll give them all cookies, shouldn't we, Candace? Okay. 95%. Big difference. They each have a job. Your conscious part of your mind is a processor. And it has never been to a past life. Hasn't got a clue about past lives. It comes with the body. And it has an ego. It likes to think it's clever, but it's not. Your subconscious is powerful. There's nothing yet out there as powerful as this for storage. It holds every single second of your lives, past lives. Speaking of just current lives, I can take you back to the second you were born. Have you see that? Because we actually can't step out. And our energy is all around us. I have to back up a bit. When I first started doing this, I thought, logical, that people would see their lives through their eyes, like a lens on a camera. And then I got kind of confused when people started to tell me in sessions and describing that they're already out looking at that person. I'm going, how could they do that? Duh. We have energy in us, but it goes out, doesn't it? You can walk into a room, sense tension, or a charismatic person goes by. We have energy outside. So what I do with my clients, I have you move out to observe yourself. So yes, you could watch yourself being born. People say, why would somebody want to do that? Actually, the first one was very interesting. She wondered why she looked like her older sister, not like her mother. What did she find? What do you think she found out? The older sister was her mother. But she was at an age that she could handle it. It'd be different if you're just 5 or 6 years old. But it did happen a lot back in the old days. Grandma became mom and that type of thing. So I have done a few of those. Every single second is stored in here. How many past lives you had? It varies, because apparently there's new souls and old souls. It doesn't mean that you've learned more. It's just that apparently, read Michael Newton's books, they're still making them. How? I don't know, but that's what happened. But I've had people that, your subconscious is also very computer-like. When I talk to you in a session, I'll say how many past lives, let your subconscious tell you how many past lives you have. It'll just pop out. It's very, very quick at this. But just a little thing here, sometimes people think, I'm going to make it up. That's the conscious talking, Mr. Monkey Mind. It doesn't work, because where does this conscious part get the number to say? Not here. It doesn't have it. There's no storage. It gets it from here. And the subconscious, which has no right or wrong, doesn't fool around, gives you the right answer anyways. So if you think you made it up, I don't care. It's still the right answer. And again, remember, bottom line, if you think you made it up, but your concern disappears, which it will, it doesn't really matter. But if you believe in past lives, it goes faster. So you're not going, wow, what a great imagination I got. So that's how this works. Conscious, subconscious. When we're up to the age of 7 or 8, these two are together. They only change around the age of 7 or 8, start separating. Whoa, isn't that the same age of the people acting silly on stage or at the maximum? Yes, the conscious starts moving faster and faster and start getting logic and thinking of things. And us well-meaning parents start teaching our kids important things that we learned from our parents who got them from their parents it doesn't mean it was right, was it? We can pass on a lot of junk. So what happened is they start separating. There is a layer that actually comes in between the two. And it's called the critical layer. That's the last sort of technical word that I'll use. What's it called? Cookies for everybody. Basically, it's like a filter. If this wasn't here, all this stuff would be floating back up into your conscious. Can you imagine walking around with thousands of past lives running through your head? I think we'd blow a gasket or two. So it's like a preventive thing. But it also backfires is because it's also hard to get to the memories down here. The reason for that is because your conscious apparently bounces around at about 22 cycles per second. The subconscious is at 7. What's the subconscious at? 7. Whoa, these guys are good. You can see it's about 3 times the speed difference. Anybody remember being, back in the old days, trying to drive a standard car, grinding the gears, the speed, you have to get them in sync a bit. This is why we generally don't get to the subconscious memories too easily. And if we start panicking, that's even harder to get to the subconscious. Good example, anybody ever, like you lost your keys to your car and your relatives are still locked inside and you're running, hey, more cookies out here. So you're running around and you're panicking, you just can't find them. What I used to do when I was younger, is probably why I got into this trade, is that if I did lose something, I'd lay down, close my eyes, take a big deep breath, and start picturing getting up in the morning. I remember where they were. Don't do it in restaurants, though. They do step on you a bit. Okay. But that's basically how this works. Why do you think we have to sleep every 24 hours? New bed, new sheets, new... It is because our conscious part of the mind does have a memory, but it only holds what you did for the day. You ever have a time where you're studying for exams and stuff like that, and after a while it just feels like it's full? Things are bouncing off. Anybody had that happen? It is because it would be full. And that's why we go to sleep at night, unless you're a night worker. What happens is we are slowing down our conscious down to 7. This layer disappears, and everything you did for the day is filed and sorted. That's why sometimes you might see somebody that day, and then you have a dream, but it's a sort of odd dream, but they're in it. It's because you're being filed and sorted. Your subconscious does all that, and it does that at record speed. And, well, good example. Do you ever try staying up more than 24 hours without sleep? 36? Yes. I can guarantee you'll start like short-circuiting because it just doesn't hold anything. One thing that can affect it though is having a poor night's sleep. Does anybody here ever have a poor night's sleep? And I'm sure we all have at least once in a while, but some people have it a lot, and I can fix that too. If you only had a poor night's sleep, you're going to wake up in the morning still half full. That's why you notice that when you have a poor sleep, you're kind of groggy and you just don't seem to clear your mind, or it fills up quick. So get a good night's sleep. And I can help you with that because I happen to have a CD called Relaxation Plus. This is my infomercial part. So it's available for sleeping better. Now, what happens is that this critical layer here, I give it a different name, and I call it the JUNK level. That's an acronym for junk. Okay. It's not even an acronym. Junk, because we have junk. Our conscious, its job is just to, or actually the subconscious job is to do what the conscious tells it, or what's in this layer, which I also call repetition. Anybody here ever have a job that you go to and from the same way pretty well every day? At some time, did you write down the address every day? Did you look at the street names every day? If you did, you need more help than I can help you with. What it is that it becomes automatic. A good example of that, has anybody ever driven home and you're pulling into the driveway and you've been daydreaming and you go, oh my God, what am I doing here? I was supposed to stop and get some gas or something. Anybody ever do that? And then you go, oh my God, I hope I didn't run over anybody. Look, you check the wheel wells. No. Stop signs aren't stuck under either. You did it safely because your subconscious knows that you're now not paying attention, so it works on the repetition. And it likes to keep a job, so it doesn't want to kill you. So, a good example also is work. A lot of people say, oh, so-and-so's got expertise. No, they don't. Give them a slap. They just done it so often that it becomes automatic, that type of thing. Now, there's other junk in here which I want to expound on for a little bit before we talk about past life. One of them is memory. Does anybody here have a memory? Anybody used to have a memory? Anybody here like to improve their memory? I can help you with that. One of the things is that we are born with perfect memory. If you hold up a piece of paper with a writing on it and it's in focus within a split second, it's all stored in the subconscious. That's how quick and powerful it is. But it has to do what you tell it, or repetition, or junk. Does anybody remember how we were taught to read? One word at a time, basically, how it starts off, not left to right. That's one word at a time. You do this enough times, that becomes your repetitious, your junk level. So when you go to read, your subconscious is going, oh God, he or she's going to read again. Which word would you like first? There is, ever heard of speed reading courses? They do have them out there. They are taught in that class how to read one word at a time, one line, a paragraph, then the whole page. Are you getting quicker, smarter? No, you're catching up to the subconscious. You're unblocking, because that's a block. Must read one word at a time, that type of thing. Another block we used to get an awful lot of in school is must cram for exams, must study to be smart. Anybody remember those pieces of stuff? Yes. Not true. But what happens is the subconscious isn't going to let you do your exam. Well, you didn't study, I'm not going to help you. That material is in here. What this brings up is the type of person I remember seeing in high school, and I wasn't one of them. But anybody remember in school, there always used to be one or two people that got fantastic marks that never studied? Weren't they annoying? Are any of them here? Any of them here? Hands up, come on. We won't laugh at you. Okay. I wish I could do that. If I had known what it was. What it is that I have found the common factor for everybody when I do a talk and they put their hand up, I found the common factor to all these people that got fantastic marks that never studied was they were lazy. And they always smile like they're just doing now. They were lazy, not clever, lazy. But it came to their advantage because they didn't believe they had to study. Oh, it'll come to me, I got things to do, I'll remember. Well, it flows. Because there's no blocks that says, must study to be smart, must cram for exams. They don't have the blocks. I wish I had. Now, there's one factor. You do have to look at the book. You can't just put it to your forehead and absorb it that way. One guy said he used to just thumb through the pages, and that's all he took, because that's how quick your subconscious reads. So memory, I'm going to give you a little tip on how to improve your memory. Does anybody here ever have a time that you couldn't remember somebody's name? Okay. And that look on your face as you're talking to them, not listening, going, oh, what's their name? I can't remember. I'm brain dead. I can't. And this happens a lot. You ever notice that about 5 minutes after they've gone, or 3 in the morning, you remember that name? You could call them up and say, I remember your name. That's very tacky. Don't do that. Now, I'm going to ask a question here that nobody's answered right yet. Why does it work like that, like you remember a little bit later? Why does it work? That's the common answer, and it's the common answer I would have done. The right answer is, it's how you talk to yourself. Remember I told you the subconscious does what you tell it. What did you just tell it when you said, I can't remember that name, I'm brain dead, I can't remember? You've just given it a directive to stop looking. You didn't mean to, but that's why we have to be careful how we talk to ourselves. It is very true about positive, that type of thing. So when you say, I can't remember that name, it stops. Darn, I was only inches away, it was just in another program. Now, later on, you're not telling it, it goes and finds it because that was your original directive, was I wonder what their name is, or trying to remember the name, and they want you to be happy. So they find it and throw it up into your conscious, and you go, wow, I remember the name. Too bad I didn't remember when I was talking to them. So, how this works is that it's programming. The way to improve your memory, if it takes you 10, 20, 30, 40 years to have a bad memory, I have some good news for you. Who likes good news? It only takes 3 or 4 weeks to fix it, at about 2 minutes a day. Is that pretty hard? Unless you forget to do that. So write it down. What it is that at least once a day, or if you have something pop up that you can't quite remember, just say out loud. There's 2 things you say, or 2 questions, and an action. The first thing you say is, I have a perfect memory. And the second thing you say to yourself is, it'll just take a moment. It'll just take a moment. And the third thing is an action. It's called shut up. Give it time to work. We're a fast food society. We want it yesterday. One guy even said, I did it and it didn't work. I said, how long did you wait? And he said, wait. Give it time because it took a while to give you the negative. The reason why you can actually reprogram yourself over 3 or 4 weeks, at least once a day, saying, I used to say I have a good memory, but no, because good can be different levels for different people. That's why I say I have a perfect memory. So what is happening is you're reprogramming, because your subconscious cannot hold a negative and a positive at the same time. Simple stuff. It already had the positive to begin with, so it's easy to go back to it. And you'll find very quickly your memory gets better and better. You're not improving it, you're unblocking the junk that stopped it from being good. Simple stuff. What did I say? The other one I want to expound on before we go into past life a bit more is health. Who's got health here? Who's healthy? Who could be healthier? Who really wants to get healthier? Okay, who's not sure? Okay. We are actually born with perfect health, unless there's one sub thing. If we come into life with a lesson to be sick or have a disease or something, that does happen occasionally, that's a little different. But 95%, 98% of the time, if we would shut up and leave the subconscious alone, we would be very healthy. But we don't. We listen to junk. We create junk levels. Johnny, don't talk to Johnny, he's got a cold. You're going to catch that cold. You ever heard of something similar? Yes. Do you think you'll catch the cold? No. I hear yeses and no's. You will, more likely, because you just told the subconscious that you're going to catch it by talking to him. It lowers your immune system, and you're more apt to catch the cold. Be careful how you talk to yourself. There's some of the stats I read and lately. When people go to hospitals for operations, which is a good place to do it because do it yourself doesn't work well. The average person, about a day later, is only producing 40% of the white blood cell count. Is that good? Go at this. Isn't 100% better? Yes. Why is it down to about 40? Oh, gee, there's sick people here. I hope I don't catch that. Oh, people die from this operation. I hope I don't die. Hello, it's going to start showing you what you're thinking. Be quiet. When I work with 5 male medical doctors, the reason I stress males because remember males are a bit more critical or not sure or that type of thing. Skeptical, that's a good word. What it is that he agreed or confirmed what I'm just going to say, and I had read, is that most doctors, and actually I've heard nurses, any doctors, nurses here? Usually there's some, often get the symptoms of what they're studying at the time. Power of suggestion. He said he was studying rashes at one time, and the next morning he woke up with a rash on his arm, and he just shook his head and ignored it and went away by the next day. Be careful how you talk to yourself. Now, there is a type of person out there that enjoys being sick. They got a special name. I'm going to give you a little clue so you can work it out. The first part of it starts with hypo, and the last part ends in chondriac. Anybody put that together? Hypochondriacs. Anybody ever seen one? Anybody know one? Oh, you know my mother-in-law, do you? Okay. What it is that they had good training. You see, Johnny, don't go to school, you got a cold. Whoa, Johnny doesn't like school. You just rewarded him. Subconscious goes, I got to help him, keep him happy. He didn't go to school like that. What was happening? He was sick. We'll keep him sick. Now it's a bit of an overview, but that's roughly how it works. Good example, I like using examples. A lady up in a town in northern BC, which I had the name earlier and I lost it again, but I have a good memory. It's between Prince George and Prince Rupert. It's got a ski resort. Starts with an S.
Smithers.
Smithers, yes. Oh, you're going to be handing out cookies. Smithers, okay. Now, she used to go, this lady, with her 3 older lady friends to Timmy's. When I'm in the States, I just say coffee shop, okay. And they would get their tea and coffee and sit down, and she said they would all pull out their pill trays and start bragging about who's taking more pills. That's sad, very sad. Some of the pills were for the side effects from the pills that they shouldn't have taken anyways. And it just got worse. She said they were bragging. She said she stopped going with them. Bragging. She said, I'd rather brag, she said, about I don't take any pills. Isn't that a better way? And you find if you ignore your aches and pains, they will go away, unless it's a past life, of course. But in general, that's how it works. Healthy. So, like how long can you go on patting your friend on the back and saying, oh, you poor dear, that's left arm still sore after 20 years, so, before you really have a hard time pretending you care. Go and fix it. No, they want to talk about it. So that can be a problem. But our subconscious is very powerful. Like when you cut yourself, who do you think fixes it? The conscious or the subconscious? Conscious doesn't have a very good attention span. It gets bored quick. But after a few days, it is healed. So the subconscious is very, very good at this. Give it a chance. How many times now I've gone to Facebook and I'll see one of the Facebook friends comment, oh, not feeling very well today. And within an hour, there's about 6 replies, take chicken soup, or, oh, you poor dear. They're continuing it. Ignore it. Now, again, working on the subconscious. One thing about past lives, now, this is an organization that we know about them. But I'm not here to explain how this, like about soul groups and why we have, I don't really know. I do know that I've done over 10,000 past lives, and I've found a commonality always happens. So even a logical person has to go, there might be something there. But the bottom line is, I don't care. I'm there to help you have a better quality of life. Let's say your lesson in this life was supposed to save somebody on a mountain, but you came into this life with a dread, fear of heights. Do you think you're going to help that person? That fear of heights didn't come from that life. You brought it in from another life. So how can you finish that lesson? Your quality of life. Heights is okay. I work with aches, pains, fears, and phobias, and debilitating emotions. Get rid of them. And the word is eliminate, not face your fears. On fears and phobias, I've worked with over 131 types of fears. A lot of them are ones of. Fear of blimps. Clowns, actually 3 or 4. Halloween, so there's lots of odds and ends. But let's see how good you guys are. What do you think is the four most popular, if you want to call them popular, the 4 most common fears? No. Speaking? No, that's actually way down. No. People that believe in past life aren't afraid of death. No, you got that one. Success. Who said success? Number 2. That's number 2. What do you think is number one? I actually already mentioned it. Heights, yes, Emily was saying. Heights is your most common fear. Second is success. Third is, no, not too bad.
Claustrophobia.
No, that's number 4. Get out of here. She already knows these answers. Claustrophobia, number 4. And number 3 is deep water. Fear of drowning. People that actually have a fear of deep water don't usually mind pools because they can see what's there. It's the unknown, shark. That's the foretop. So heights. One of the first clients that ever came to me with was a fear of heights. There was a male, and he said, I don't believe in past lives, but I hear you do help people get rid of your fears. I said, sure, come on in, sit down. And I said, how does your fear of heights affect you a lot? And he says that he can't even see a picture of a mountain without sweats and butterflies. A lot of people do react to their fears that way, strong. And he said he's never been on a mountain, so it's not like he fell off a few times. So I said, okay, just slow yourself down. Now, in a session, it's not as quick as that, but I slow him down, because when you slow down, in the session, I slow you down close to 7. Not exactly, because then you'd fall asleep, and I can't talk to you while you're sleeping. So close, but just that when you're slowed down, it's easy to get to the memories, and they are there. But that's why you can't do this yourself. I can't do this to myself, because I have to ask questions. And if I'm asking questions, is that relaxing? No, you're thinking. So that's why I can't do it. I do have some of my students or grads do it, like Candace has done for me. But what happens is I slow you down, and then I simply say, let your subconscious show you why you have a concern of heights. Is that complicated? No. I cannot believe what I have seen people tell me. They've gone to a person that this past life, and the guy said to them, you were a gypsy. Who cares? How does it help you? It probably was true, but it's not. It's more amusement. So what it is that I don't know what you did in a past life. And if I did, I wouldn't tell you anyways, because you have to experience it, but it's not fearful. So what I said with him is to see where the concern comes from. Your subconscious, pardon me, is being affected by the memory that it caused it. It doesn't go to half a dozen lives and say, pick one you like. It does not work that way. It always, not just most of the time, 100% goes to the correct one, because you're being affected from it. It's just that we don't wake up in the morning going, oh, I was run over 3 times, did get stabbed twice. It doesn't happen. We do get nightmares occasionally. Anybody ever have reoccurring dreams? Were they nice ones? No, they're usually not. It's a past life that you need to be taken care of. But anyhow, so I said to him, and within moments, in his mind eye, you're sitting in a chair, you do not lay. I get people say, where do I lay down? That's another fallacy, another stereotype. You don't lay down. What do we do when the subconscious likes doing is working on repetition? What do you do when you generally lay down? You go to sleep. You can't talk when you're sleeping. You sit in a chair. The reason why people were thinking that they shouldn't sit in a chair is because they think they wander away, they float away, and then they might fall off their chair. When you were daydreaming in school, did you fall off your chair? No. You're there all the time. In fact, when I'm talking to you before the session, explaining a bit where we're going to go, and then when I'm talking to you in the session, it'll sound the same, except you'll have answers. Actually, I had one lady, she said, when we finished, I got rid of 5 of her concerns. She said, you know what, though, I don't really know if I think I was really in hypnosis. So I asked, and I've done this a few times, I said, what's it supposed to feel like? And she said, I don't know. So I said, if you don't know what it's supposed to feel like, how do you know you weren't in it? Duh, you're there all the time. It's just that when you're this low, it's easy to get the answers. Now her subconscious for this guy said, all of a sudden he said, whoa, this is ever neat. In my mind's eye, I can see like a rocky cliff, and there's a male native Indian on it, in the States. Wow, this is good imagination. I said, hey, just tell me what you see. Then he says, wait a minute, there's another one coming up behind him, another guy, and he pushed him off. That's not nice. I said, probably not. Okay. But what really got me is that he had that fear he can't even really talk about. But while we're talking, he's doing this, following the guy falling off the cliff. I'm going, he's done, he's got it. So I said, I thought you didn't like talking about it. He said, Oh, yeah. But is it your imagination or past life? Oh, no, it's my imagination. So we finished that off, plus a few other past lives. Because in a session, I don't do the whole session one item, because you probably wonder what you're going to do for the next hour. In a session, I take care of 2 to 5 different things. That's how quick it can happen. A little side thing, sometimes one past life takes care of, well, a lady in Nova Scotia, one past life we went to in the session took care of 7 issues. 2 she had forgot to mention. Because some people, a way of life, well, I'll get to that in a bit. So what happened is that when I finished, then I have a quick chat, you're more awake. Just like when you get up in the morning, when you're not really instantly awake, but you just sort of clear your head, that's all it is. So I said, how is your fear of heights? And the way I have people do that, I'll say, close your eyes for a minute and picture a scene of that fear that bothers you. So he did, he went, it's gone. Now this guy it was about 40 something. He's had this problem, late, mid-30s, all his life. It's gone. I said, but is it past life or imagination? He said, I'm not sure. And I said, who cares? I got an email from him a few years later. What? I said, has this affected your way of life, though, this fear? And he said, yes, he could never take his kids to Disneyland, and he could never go skiing with them. About 2 or 3 years later, I got an email from him. He says he's loving skiing with his family. So that's how simple it works. Seeing it, you let it go. Why? I don't know, but if it ain't broken. Now, I'm going to give you a very profound piece of information. Anybody here ever heard of the word imagination? I'm going to give you a profound statement here. There's no such thing. People go, what? And I'll give you an example. I need everybody to close your eyes for about 2 minutes, please. Everybody close your eyes. Big deep breath, everybody. And exhale. Also, I have people take a deep breath. It's not a cutesy thing. It's actually a physical calming thing. You're forcing more oxygen into your bloodstream. So when I say take a deep breath, it's not cutesy. Now, I want everybody here in your mind's eyes to see or sense or visualize. That's where I cover everything. A lemon. A big, bright, yellow, sour, juicy lemon. Now, some people are more visual than others, so you can go by sensing. Either way, it will work. Now, cut up that lemon. Cut the lemon in half, and then into slices. Sour, juicy lemon. And just take a bite of one of those pieces. Feel it, the texture, the taste. Now swallow it. Yes, swallow it. I think we got room for another piece. One more piece of that sour, juicy lemon. Okay, you can open your eyes. A lot of you are being rude. You're making faces at me. A lot of you are doing this. Yeah, not everybody, but a lot. Now, what I've done here is that I've checked. Not everybody will have their mouth water, but most of you. How many people had their mouth water to a degree? How many people nothing happened? It will happen. Okay, but it's minority. What it is that I use a lemon because it is a common one. I get people that say, I like lemons. Who cares? You still make your mouth tart. But what I proved one time to a group, I said, one lady says, I never tasted it and it didn't work. And I said, okay, what's your favorite food? And she said, dessert. And she said, pumpkin pie. So I said, close your eyes, please. She closed her eyes, everybody's staring at her. And I said, picture in your mind getting a nice piece of warm pumpkin pie with whipped cream all over it. She had come with another lady, and the lady next to her she came with was passing her tissue because she was starting to wipe her mouth. So she reacted. So what I'm leading to is I can always find something that your mouth will water to. But the point I'm making here is there was nothing in your mouth. Your body reacted. What did it react to? Give you a clue. One word starts with an M. You're exempt. Memory, yes, thank you. You were going to say that anyways, weren't you? Okay, memory. You're reacting to a memory because you've tasted one. It's irrelevant about the seeing, it's the tasting. I guarantee you 100% if you have never tasted a lemon in your life, your mouth will not water to thinking about it or picturing it. In other words, you can't imagine a lemon and have your body react to it unless you've tasted it. So therefore, there's no imagination. But you might have gotten it from a lemon in another past life. But either way, what I'm showing you here is that's how this works. But if you think you made it up, the results to the good doesn't matter. Now, how my system works is that, again, you don't have to believe in past lives. Another example I use a lot is in England for a while, because I went over there and had a practice. A lady came in, she said she's got a pain in her neck. I said, what's his name? Well, actually, I'll just give you a quick side. I did have a lady once on her list of shopping list of stuff, had said every time she saw her son-in-law, she got a pain in her neck. So I said, by chance you don't think of him as a pain in the neck? And she said, yeah, as if it's fine, yeah. I said, at least you didn't call him a pain in the butt. I said, don't do that. And we cleared it up with that. But she came in and she said, it's not past life. I had a car accident 4 years ago and I've had whiplash continually. Pain in the neck. In fact, you could tell when she walked in because she was walking like that. And I said, why are you coming to see me? And she said, because my painkillers don't work anymore. We do get a resistance to them, and nothing she was getting prescribed was working. So she came to see me. Okay. So I slowed her down and I said, let your subconscious take you back. Now, when somebody isn't sure, I don't say go to the past life that caused. I say go to the cause of why you have the pain in your neck for 4 years. 99 times out of 100 is going to be a past life. So they're going to on their own though go, oh, a knight in shining armor. Okay. But anyhow, again, what it is that people are visual. Now, just a little side thing here. How many people could see the lemon fairly clearly in your mind? How many people are more tasting it but not seeing? Yeah, it's small. Like I used to be a bit more sensing, getting a little bit more visual, but a lot of people are visual. But again, a blind person doesn't have to see you to know you're here. They can hear you, taste you, or touch you or something. So it still worked either way. So what I had her do is already she was outside of her body, and I say, tell me what's happening. And she said, it's a bright sunny day. And again, I said, what year is it? She said, in a second, 1802. That information's in there. Why? I don't know, but it's very good at it. What country? France. And she says, there are lots of people out there all around this platform that I'm on. I'm on my knees, and they're all laughing and shaking their fists and all kinds of stuff. And I said, move a little bit further back. The advantage of, again, what my system is that when you look at yourself, you can move around. I get people that first think they're stuck and, I only see the back of the person's head. Move around to the front. So she moved a little bit further back and she went, oh my God, I'm being guillotined. Now for younger people, I have to say beheaded. I get people that say, what's a guillotine? I think you guys probably know, didn't you? Go see an old movie. Being guillotined, now that's probably the biggest pain in the neck you'll get. What happened was, after a few minutes, I finish it and then we moved on to something else. But before I move on to the next one, I said, move your head around now. Now, very gingerly, she started moving her head because she's used to a lot of pain. She started doing this, went, eyes still closed. But you could tell with the expression, she was happy. I said, how does it feel? She said, it's gone. Now, 4 years of constant pain, that's a nice relief, isn't it? Gone. And I said, and it isn't going to come back. She said, really? And I had seen her a few months later and said, never came back. What really happened here is, again, I mentioned at the beginning, it's lessons not finished. Our body cells have a memory that drags along with us. And it goes into the body that we inherit. Good example, in fact, I've put it on my Facebook, one of them, there's a lot of documented case histories in the States of people that have transplants. This is doctors documenting this. They start picking up the habits and the likes and dislikes of the person that had that part. Checking with relatives and stuff like that. Ever heard of that? It does. Therefore, it's got a memory. Now, when you die and don't finish your lesson, sometimes you got run over too soon or you went sideways and didn't get to it. Apparently, when we come back, that lesson doesn't go away, but we'll have some new ones. Or you might have 10 you haven't finished. That's why some people, you ever meet people with a numerous amount of aches and pains, fears and phobias, there's all lessons they haven't finished. What it means is you still have to finish that lesson. But it does mean you do not have to bring in the ache or pain or phobia that came with it. Your body cells don't know the difference, doesn't know the difference. That's what I'd help you with. When you see what it is, we let it go. Still have to finish the lesson. Now, a good example of what my system, I gave it a very, very complicated name. I called my system the unknown noise. Anybody need spelling on that? Okay. The unknown noise, that's how simple this is. Another picture for you. Here's another word picture, but you can keep your eyes open on this one. Can you do this? You do the wind. Okay, sound effects. That's what I brought along. What happens is, picture you're living alone. It's a dark, spooky, windy night, and you're in bed, and the wind's howling. Okay. And there's a crash, and you jump up and go, what the is that? Notice I'm being polite there. Or cluck, what the cluck is that? There you go. Okay. I'm going to use that one more often. See, I plagiarize people. No, okay. No, it's not plagiarization. It's, what do you call it, reusing? Recycling, okay. More cookies. So what happened was, it's just the wind blowing a branch against the window. So you go to sleep. I would, unless it's going to break. Later that night, there's another crash. You jump up and go, what the cluck is that? Okay. And you hear it again, and you go, whoa, I don't know what that noise is. Sounds scary. I don't know. This is not good. And that's when you start running away with, oh, somebody coming to kill me or break in or whatever. So we quickly, unless we check it out, which most of us wouldn't, we resort to childhood. We pull up our bulletproof covers and try and get some sleep. Doesn't work. Get up in the morning to go to work, not refreshed, didn't sleep well, and you're going out the door, still windy. And you hear that noise to the left, and you quickly look to the left. And you suddenly realize it's just a metal garbage can blowing in the wind. That's a song, isn't it? No. And the neighbor used to have a garbage bag. And I started doing this in England, so if you've ever been to Europe, it's stone, it echoes, and it's also, everything's close. It's a garbage can. Now, you're going to make a profound statement and some adjectives about the neighbor. You're going to say, it's a garbage can. What is it? And adjectives about the neighbor. Next night, you're in bed, another dark, spooky, windy night. The wind's still howling again. We should give her a cookie. You get 2 cookies. The wind's howling. 50-50, you don't even wake up. But if you do, you're going to make your profound statement again, which is? Yes, and that stupid neighbor. There is a point here, really. The noise is the same both nights, isn't it? Why doesn't it bother you on the second night? Simple answer. You know what it is. I keep things simple. You know what it is. Now, unless you feel the garbage cans are coming to kill you, we let it go. But we are an animal that likes to see to believe. Do you have to be hit with the garbage can? Do you have to hug the garbage can to know it's a garbage can? You just have to see it. But if I had told you this is about like reading, if you had told me after the first night about that and I said to you, oh, I know all this, it's a garbage can. I don't know about you, but the next night when I hear that sound, I'll go, I don't know if I believe him. I'm going to peek through the curtain. It is a garbage can. This is how my system works. That woman saw herself being beheaded. What happened was she hadn't finished a lesson in that life. But the guillotine was finishing, stopped the lesson. But when she had the car accident, it triggered the part of that neck, which triggered the memory. But because she didn't know where it came from, the garbage cans, that's why it didn't go away. Interesting how it works. Why, again? Don't know. But it works. Sorry?
The son-in-law, did he fit in that story? That's a different story.
No. That was just a side to explain about the pain in the neck. Expressions. Be careful. People, you ever hear people say, I'm sick and tired of this, sick and tired? Those people usually are sick and tired. Be careful how you talk to yourself. Think positive. Length of time. My record is actually in the book too. Oh, I have my books here. I gave them an interesting title, Life in the Past Lane. Okay. If you know music, you know that's where it came from. These are case histories. The reason why I have more than one is that I started doing this book and I realized when you got 10,000 case histories, they don't go in one book. So I started making them specialized. Aches and pains, past life, and fears and phobias. But an interesting one that's in the book too, the longest period of time. A lady in Australia, she came to see me for a session. She was 58 at the time. For 55 years, she's had a pain behind her left knee. Not a major thing, but she still walked with a little bit of a limp. That's annoying. Nothing could be found, no operation. Well, she didn't have an operation, she didn't trust that, but nothing. So I said, let's check it out. I said, when did it happen? She said, age 3. I said, anything spectacular happened at age 3? She said, yes. At age 3, she said she was home, the family, and her heart stopped. Nobody knew why, but luckily one of them was a medical person, and got her going and then took her to the hospital. She said within 3 days that pain in her knee showed up. Now, why? I thought you'd never ask. What happened was, I said in the session, let your subconscious show you why this has been there for 55 years. Instantly she saw herself in a hospital as a 3-year-old girl in a polio ward in England, early or late 1700s. Polio was very contagious. They never knew what to do with it, so they would put people into wards and they just died there. This little girl was laying on a cot, and where do you think her polio was? Under her left knee. They had her leg raised at about a 45-degree angle to help relieve some of the pain. Well, when you're that child, you're still growing, and her knee was starting, her knee was coming down, causing the problem under the left knee. That's all it took. This was a good 5 years ago. Facebook's amazing. You can chat with people live now. So I talked to her about it about a year ago. Said it never came back. But think of the logic. 55 years of something that really you didn't have to. But what was interesting too is that girl, that 3-year-old girl, when we had seen that scene, she checked. We checked a little bit later at the end of the session. I forgot to mention that. The girl died 2 days later. She willed herself to die. We actually can do that. Like if you're falling from a mountain and you're definitely going to die, we often, our energy will just leave. Like, why stay for the splat? Sort of thing. It does happen. So, and what happened in her life at 3 years old in the current life? She died. Her heart stopped for a moment. No, I can't quite collaborate it, but I bet you any money it was the same second or the same age, or they're connected. But there's a lot of stuff. People have operations that they shouldn't have. A lady in New Zealand came in. She could not raise her hand past this. The German war. No, not that. Okay. And she was scheduled for an operation a month later. When she left, she was laughing and trying to touch the lights. She canceled her operation. Well, why would you go further? Interesting one too is a lady in just to the west of Stony Plain, west of Edmonton. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's not far from here. She had come in at age 26. Now this was a good about a good 8-9 years ago. And age 26, and she sort of walked in a bit like this. So being very observant, I said, problem with your knees? She said, yes. I said, tell me about it. So she sat down. Since the age of 8, she's had problem with her knees. So 8, and she's now 26, no 10 and 26, about 16 years. So I said, have you done anything for the knees? And she said, she's had 3 operations on each one. And I said, did it help? And what do you think she said? No. Not even close. So I said, let's find out what it's all about. So in the session, I said, let your subconscious take you back to why you have the problem with your knees. A lot of our aches and pains come from specific incidences in a past life, but sometimes it's called wear and tear, doing the same thing over and over in another life, but often the emotions will bring it up. So I said, go to it. And within a moment, she said, oh, it's about 400 years ago. I'm a very fat black lady in Africa, and I'm down by the river washing clothes. Now, because of her size, they only gave her that one job, because a lot of times they used to mix it up. She was washing clothes. Then she said, but the river has rocks on the edges. It's a rocky river. And then she said, oh, and she's kneeling on the right knee on that big rock, and that's the knee that hurts even more. Next to the end of the session, you can tell me. It's not, you remember, you don't float away at no la-la land. And I said, how did she feel, though, doing this job? And like a lot of things, unfortunately, women were treated like dirt. We've all been male or female. No, like no future, nothing to look forward to. I said, do you ever have that happen in your current life? She says, yes, my current job, she said. Okay. A lot of people have jobs like that. That often triggers it, too. So what happened is that we finished that session, and when we finished, took care of a couple of the items, I said, stand up. She stood up. The look on her face was priceless. She started doing knee squats. I didn't know she hadn't done them since she was 10, so easily. She went out to see her parents. They had brought her down because she didn't drive well. And she showed them, I never saw two people, their jaws almost hit the ground. They couldn't believe it. And I actually have come across her physically. My wife teaches some energy thing, and we happened to be up in that area. So I came to pick up Debbie, and she had a class. And this one woman looked at me and says, "Hi, remember me?" When you've seen a few thousand people, sometimes give me a clue. Okay. She said knees, and instantly, because I remember this is that area, it was her. And I said, "How are you doing?" She said, "My knees are perfect except for one thing. The weather affects the scar tissues on her knees that she didn't need." So there's a lot of operating. A lot of doctors, like I work with 5, they know there's stuff that shouldn't be going on, but they can't quite, after taking training, say to you, "Go see a past life regressionist." No, it doesn't look good on their signature. The only big disease or condition I've ever bothered to, like when people come in, they'll have a 37-letter word, "I've got such and such," and I'll go, "Spell, how's that in English?" "Oh, curvature of the spine," "Thank you." Because when I go to work with you on an item, your subconscious is very literal. If I say, "Go to the past life, that's the cause," or "the cause of," and I can't pronounce it, it'll sit there and wait. So I like you to give it to me simply. And I don't care whether it's C1, C2, I don't care. If you get a pain in your back, it's either lower, middle, or upper, so we can go to it. And the only big word I've ever bothered to memorize or learn or pronounce is fibromyalgia. Anybody heard of that? As 2 of my doctors said, polite area on the side, it's BS. What happens is it's a body ache, and they cannot ever prove why. So they call it fibromyalgia, so you'll feel better. Well, I got fibromyalgia, at least they can shut up and go. But it's that placebo effect. Ever heard of placebo effect? Yes, the sugar pills. They know there's more to it. So what I do is I've taken them to the past life to find out where it came from. And also the fibromyalgia isn't just like one particular, everybody has it in their shoulder. It can be different points. I've worked with over 80 people with it, and how many people still have it? 0. It's just a past life. So that's roughly how it works. I get people come in once in a while that say, "Well, I really have nothing wrong with me. Yeah, they're perfect, whatever. And I just want to see what it's more about." And this has only happened maybe a dozen times. Before I start their session, within 10 minutes, I'll have at least 5 things on their list that they need looked at. Vision and hearing are actually almost always a past life. People just think it's a way of life. One guy was cracking his knuckles while I was doing it. I said, "How long have you been doing that?" And he goes, "What?" People do that all the time. They don't notice. He says, "Cracking your knuckles." In his past life, he was tortured and they cut his fingers off. He was checking to make sure his fingers were still there without thinking about it. Chewing fingernails is also often dungeons. They didn't feed you well. Can you believe that? So a lot of people chewed their nails. Lots of stuff comes from past lives. So, and there's a lot of stuff. Hearing, this is interesting too. Anybody here have tinnitus? And usually it's in one ear only. Is it both ears? Who's got both ears? Who's got one ear here? Basically it's one, but either way. If you were in a war beside the old-fashioned big cannons, and your job was stuffing the explosive down there, and if you always stayed on the left side of the cannon, you will have problems in this life in your left ear if you haven't finished the lesson in that life, which most of the time we don't. When I do a session with my clients, and I'm going to be doing some while I'm here, I've already actually got some sessions booked already. What it is that I use a headset system, headphones. I call them headphones. You put headphones on. This way other noises don't get in your way. I have a little mixer, and I actually talk through a mic through it, even though you're right in front of me, because this way also it's clearer, and also I find people that say, "Oh, I have poor hearing, I can't hear in the left ear." Is that on your list? No, they didn't think about it. What it is, I also pipe in some really boring music, and I don't need to hear it because I don't need to slow down. So I always start off with a little sound test, turn up, and usually once I set it for the day, it's about right. So she said, "What music?" So I turned it up a little bit. "Oh, I hear something, but can you turn it up?" So I turned it up a bit more, a little more. I said, "You got a problem with your hearing, don't you?" She said, "Yeah." Both ears, mostly though the left one. So I said, "Let's find out put that on your list." So when I came to that past life, I said, "Go to the past life as the cause." She saw herself as a girl about 16. Oh, she also has had that since about age 16, and she was about 36 when I saw her. She said she saw the early 1900s a dilapidated type of farm in Canada, and mom was yelling, there was a rat in the living room. And they left the doors open all the time. And he got out a rifle to kill it. Now, she was around the corner and heard all the commotion and said, boy, I'm nosy in that life. Then she sort of quietly said, I'm nosy in this life too. I said, what happened? She said, I ran around the corner to see what happened, and Dad fired the rifle. Didn't hit her, but it deafened her. Both ears, but mostly the right one. And she'd recovered a bit. So when she saw this, and then I said, that's where it came from. And she said, yeah, the same nosiness. And then she said, by the way, could you turn the music down? That's how quick it works. Can you turn the music down? Often tinnitus, I've had people that are getting, club against the head in a war or battle, it disappears. That's how easy this is. But it's just see it and let it go. There's no spit nickels and twirl around. Simple. So I have people come in, I give them a list. You can put down the list of stuff. Actually, I had a lady in Australia typed out 32 different items. I didn't get to them all. There's only so many, but I did 2 sessions. So I don't generally do more than 1 session with somebody unless they have a big list. It's part of the life of the past lane, but I'm specializing more on the fears and phobias, because there is medicine for aches and pains that people. I got my favorite chiropractor. I got my favorite whatever, but there's no medicine for fears and phobias, is there? And again, one of the ones I'm stressing is the fear of success. So that's what I'm going on. But a good little thing about mentioning that brought up a thing. Chiropractors are a good trade. They're good. I've used them. They're good. I was doing a session a few years ago in Medicine Hat. A woman came in, the first one. She said, I got lower back pain concerns. Very common. And so I marked it down to do first, because I like to do an ache one first, because this way, because people with lower back pain can't sit very well or comfortably. So then she said, but my husband sent me. And I'm going, that's good. Then she says, he's a chiropractor. And I said, excuse me? Why would a chiropractor send you to see me? He said, because last year when you came through, he sent one of his male clients that he couldn't fix to me, and he said that I fixed him. I didn't know I was being tested. So the he's and she's. So she said that he said that it's okay for her to come and see me, and I fixed her back too. I work on cause and effect, almost done. Cause and effect. Facing your fears and that kind of stuff, it's a bunch of bull crap. What happens is, anybody here ever have stress? Anybody ever get a headache from it? Did you take a painkiller or something for it? Yes, we often do, and that does help. But did it get rid of the pain or the stress? The pain. Aspirins don't take care of stress. Past life does. I go for the cause. So with that old lady with the chiropractor, got rid of the cause. That's how it works. Real quick one. Anybody here ever have migraines? Not too many? Anybody here know people that have had migraines? There's some right there. Okay. Migraines and stress headaches are 2 different things. So migraine headaches are past life. A real quick thing. Generally, if you're going to be bothered by migraines, you'll be female, and it generally starts around puberty time. Not 100%, but mostly, because that's a big change in life. More people need glasses between the age of 8 and 16 because your body's reacting. Big change. I don't want to see what's coming. I don't want to hear what's coming. That does happen. Well, migraines are similar. What happened, though, is my brother, real quickly, at 13, he got, my next younger brother, migraines. They always started here with him, and they finished here. A lot of migraines travel, some don't. In a nutshell, he loved soldiers as a kid. Always got toy soldiers. I liked the cap guns, the cowboy thing. And what happened was, they were metal in those days. You ever step on them in the middle of the night? Hurt. So, turned out, when I went over to England to visit him, as he had a migraine, I said, let's take care of it. He was a soldier in World War I and World War II. Both times, he never fired a shot. He got shot through the head and out the back. Never fired a shot during the war. But when I said, where did your migraines travel? Or where did they hit you? And he said, oh my God. I said, where did they travel from? He's never had a migraine since 1996. Once you know where it comes from, why go through life? So I help you get a better quality of life They don't let me tell you what your life lesson is, but they do like it when I help you get rid of the junk that's preventing you from doing it. So come and see me if you want a session. So that is basically the time allotted. Thank you very much for listening to me and laughing at the right times. And talk to you later. You're too kind. You're too kind.